In May 2026, the Indian internet was swarmed by an anomaly. Out of nowhere, a new entity flooded feeds, group chats, and trending tabs, claiming the title of the Cockroach Janta Party. The movement presents as a collection of deep-fried memes and sarcastic slogans. In practice, it functions as a coordinated mechanism for genuine political pressure, using humor to mask its tactical intent. There were no press conferences, no television ad buys, and no official spokespeople. The movement bypassed the usual gatekeepers entirely, piggybacking on social media algorithms and meme pages to reach millions of screens directly. A phenomenon like this does not materialize out of thin air. Its rapid expansion points directly to a massive, systemic breakdown in the machinery of civil society. When standard avenues for political dialogue stop functioning, the internet steps in to fill the void. It takes the frustration of a generation and formats it into unpredictable, rapidly mutating forms of digital resistance. The groundwork for the CJP was laid long before May 2026. It was built by a young population dealing with a near-total collapse of trust in the political establishment, watching a system that seemed entirely disconnected from their economic reality. This chart tracks youth employment against social media engagement. As the job market's downward trend bottoms out, the online activity curve mutates and spikes. Without economic opportunity, a stranded demographic migrated to digital spaces to find agency. Locking a connected demographic out of the traditional economy creates an enormous reservoir of idle energy. Eventually, that demographic will organize, using the tools they understand best to force the accountability they are denied in the physical world. The name itself, the Cockroach Janta Party, is intentionally abrasive. It was engineered to force a reaction, hijacking attention economies by leaning into the absurd. The creators took an insult often thrown around in toxic online arguments and flipped it. They wore it as a symbol of resistance, turning a derogatory label into a unified, highly recognizable digital identity. This use of irony serves a dual purpose. It acts as a shield, making the group incredibly difficult for traditional media to criticize without sounding out of touch, while simultaneously serving as a weapon to mock the establishment. Their distribution strategy relied entirely on decentralization. Instead of centralized campaign websites, they infiltrated youth-driven forums, Discord servers, and private group chats, letting their supporters organically share the message. Beneath the heavy layers of satire, the demands were entirely serious. They organized around strict institutional accountability, demanding election transparency and driving political awareness among youth. By disguising a political agenda as a joke, the movement inoculated itself. Standard political counterattacks and rigorous fact-checking often bounce off a target that refuses to take itself seriously in the first place. The sheer velocity of this network creates a massive problem for the old guard. Traditional media gatekeepers are physically unable to keep pace with the thousands of memes and posts being generated every hour. Critics categorize this phenomenon as viral propaganda. It operates in an untested area of information warfare, where messages are propagated not through state broadcasters, but through the willing participation of millions of netizens. The danger lies in the intentional blurring of distinct lines. It becomes difficult to separate harmless internet humor from serious political organizing, and both of those from deliberate, malicious manipulation. Because the entire structure is meme-based and crowdsourced, there is no distinct leader to investigate. It is virtually impossible to identify the true architects behind the initial spark or discern their ultimate motives. While traditional political institutions rely on committees, press releases, and slow deliberation, modern internet culture tests, adapts, and iterates its messaging in real time based on raw engagement data. That ambiguity is why the CJP poses such a unique threat to the status quo. When the establishment cannot determine if an adversary is a harmless joke or a highly organized tactical threat, they cannot formulate an effective defense. The emergence of the CJP marks a permanent shift in how political communication functions. The old model of a few broadcasters speaking to the masses has been effectively dismantled. This diagram illustrates how a rigid, top-down model of political communication shatters into a decentralized network. The glowing nodes represent individual users, proving that memes and irony have evolved from simple coping mechanisms into formidable tools for mass mobilization. Whether the cockroach Janta party actually secures a place on a physical ballot or simply dissolves back into the internet as a phantom protest misses the point entirely. A massive demographic of young voters has successfully demonstrated their ability to hijack a national conversation. They rewrote the rules of engagement, and they did it without asking for official permission. For anyone with a smartphone and a viral idea, the cost of entry for national visibility has collapsed. The monopoly that traditional institutions once held over political narratives is no longer absolute. We have to ask what this new dynamic actually represents. Are we looking at a democratic evolution of civic engagement, or a dangerous, uncontrollable viral contagion that completely bypasses reason? While institutions remain focused on polls and press briefings, the broader political landscape is already being reshaped by these decentralized digital forces operating quietly in the background. Look at the algorithms dictating your own feeds. Consider how much information is filtered through irony and how a steady stream of satirical content might be subtly determining your own political decisions. In an ecosystem entirely governed by attention, there is no such thing as a simple joke. A single meme, given enough momentum, can easily mutate into a force vastly larger and more powerful than anyone ever anticipated.